these stadiums.
Anything that moves between these lines, got to get dealt with.
They hand it to Pollard. He comes running out the right side. Deep to the post to Lamb. At the 5, to the goal line.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night is presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
The Houston Texans come all the way down the road as the game goes all the way down to the wire. 27-23, a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys score a touchdown with 41 seconds remaining, and they hold on with a deep breath amongst Cowboys Nation to get to 10-3 overall. Welcome into Cowboys Game Night alongside Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Youmans breaking down the 27-23 win for the Cowboys. And Nate, my goodness, it didn't go the way that the Cowboys had planned going into this matchup. And it's always said about rivalry games, you throw out the records. Well, right. The Texans at 1-10-1 entering, Cowboys at 9-3. It felt like a rivalry game the way that that one kind of ended up looking toward the back half.
Yeah, I think the Texans came in just a little bit more hype than what the Cowboys was. We started out fast, and then it seemed like the wind got knocked out of us, man. We had a few bad turnovers. Turpin, for the first time, had a fumble that we couldn't get back, and our quarterback had a few errant passes. But other than that right there, we squeaked it out at the end.
Yeah, they were able to get out with the win just in the nick of time. The Cowboys turn it on and have to go 11 plays, 98 yards to get the job done, but they do just that in the win over the Texans. It was the first meeting between the two sides since 2018 and the first one at AT&T Stadium since 2014. Dallas got off to a hot start. Opening drive, they worked down the field on the ground. A little Zeke misdirection sets up the give to Tony Pollard, who races to the pylon, and he wins that race easily.
Oh, my God. He got into open field, and you know he's very explosive. Right there, he turned the corner. Hey, 90 going north.
Yeah, Dallas averaged 11 yards per play, 11 yards per carry on that opening drive. Following a 3-and-out, Kevontae Turpin, standing at his own 35-yard line, muffs the punt for the first time this season, tries to reach for it, but the Texans recover, and they cash in doing so. The short field works off. Keep that in mind. That becomes a theme. Texans on the 1-yard touchdown run from Dameon Pierce tie the ball game up at 7. They would add a field goal before the end of the first quarter. Houston up by 3 going into the second. Dak Prescott finds Tony Pollard, though, in the flats. He slips in for the touchdown. First game of Pollard's career with both a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown.
I hear a little swing pass. One of the few times the Texans missed the tackle. He's in the end zone.
Found it, but Dak Prescott back behind center. This one tipped. His pass is picked off, and in doing so, it gives short field again for the Houston Texans. They made a switch at quarterback, back and forth between the starter in Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll. This was Driscoll lofting it into the end zone for Amari Rodgers, splits the defenders. The touchdown has Houston on top. Dallas would then add a field goal to tie it, but the Texans kicked a field goal right at the end of the half to take a 3-point lead into the break. Into the third, Dallas needs a big play. Donovan Wilson pokes the football out from Dameon Pierce. Trayvon Diggs with the recovery. He retreats all the way back to his own 44-yard line, but he gets back into the positive, into enemy territory, and all the way inside the 30-yard line. Good chance for points for the Dallas Cowboys. However, that chance was snuffed out because Ezekiel Elliott on a goal line stand stopped short of the goal line. A turnover on down gives it back to the Texans, who would convert it into a field goal. Dallas would answer. It was a 3-point ball game heading into the fourth. Fast forward, under 6 to play. Dallas with their backs against the wall. Dak Prescott intercepted again. The chance for the Texans to close the game out came from inside their own 5-yard line. Cowboys stand strong on 3rd down. They get the stop from D-Law, and then on 4th down, Houston goes for it. Driscoll takes the handoff on a rollout. He was swarmed, and Dallas still alive with 3 minutes to play. 98 yards to go. And it was Dalton Schultz inside the 5-yard line with the reception. That one for 18 yards, setting up Ezekiel Elliott inside the 5 for the go-ahead touchdown, 27-23. They take the lead with 41 seconds left. One last chance for the Houston offense to try and find the end zone after a mini celebration from Ezekiel Elliott. And it was a trio of Cowboys in the end zone, picking off this pass on the loft from Davis Mills. It was Israel Mukuamu who came up with the loose football. Trayvon Diggs with a little argumentative after that, saying that he held on to the football instead, but it was Mukuamu that came up with it. He leapt into the crowd and celebrated a 27-23 win for the Cowboys, and a deep breath for them as they get the win over the Texans. They didn't win time of possession like you like, Nate, but they got the job done.
Oh, yeah, they definitely got the job done. But you know what? Like I said, every stat we won except the turnover.
Except for the turnover battle, and that turnover battle nearly cost the Cowboys the game in this one. Would have been one of the biggest upsets of the NFL season. It was the biggest point spread for the NFL season, and it's safe to say the Cowboys did not cover in that regard. When we come back here on Cowboys Game Night, we hear from Ezekiel Elliott. How did the ground game get going, and why did the Cowboys go away from it when we come back?
This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
62 yards on the ground for Ezekiel Elliott. He might have had 2 touchdowns. However, one was stopped on a goal line stand. The other one was the game winner with 41 seconds left. Here's what Zeke had to say at the AT&T Stadium locker room following the win over the Texans.
Zeke, let's talk about the game-winning touchdown. Describe the play, and were you sure they were going to call your number, even though that's where you normally eat?
Yeah, it's just inside zone play. You know, we've been running all day down there inside the 5. Dak told us what the call was before he went out, and they had called the timeout. So came back in, same call. I think Kellen just saw the looking at offensive line eyes. They probably been pissed off if we would have threw it.
Exactly. And you guys got the job done. Now, it took a 98-yard drive. Can you talk about the defense getting the stop after the pick, and then you guys knowing what you had to do for 98 yards? Can you talk about that momentum and what you guys are trying to accomplish, knowing that you get 98 yards, the mindset?
Talking about resilience, man. Just the way they got down there, defense get that big goal line stop, and then us taking the 98 yards, man, it just shows what this team is about. I mean, there was a lot of big plays that happened in between all that, and I'm glad to be on this team.
You know what? It goes on show that any given Sunday, anything can happen in this league. Can you talk about the way Houston played and how you guys are normally dominant, but they put up a big fight?
Every week's gonna be tough, man, and I think maybe we probably got a little. You guys got used to seeing us blow guys out, but I mean it's still the NFL. You're not gonna blow people out every weekend. And most games come down to one score, and we just did what we needed to do towards the end of the game to pull this one out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It comes down to one score. It also comes down to his final 51 seconds, where it went from resilience to dominance. Tell us what was going through your head at that point.
I knew we were gonna go down there and score. Dak leading us, Dak taking charge of us in that 2-minute drive. There's not a quarterback I'd rather have in there on those game-winning drives. He just seems so poised, doesn't blink an eye. He's ready to go, and he made all the plays he needed to get down there. I say today, man, it's just they're a tough team. They're a tough team. Their record, may say otherwise, but that defense came out. They played really hard. They're very fundamentally sound. They don't make many mistakes, and so it came down to the wire.
Jerry just said that he loves the fact that you all were able to experience that pressure of that game. Do you think that'll benefit you guys when these games down the stretch, the playoffs down the road, that you guys have shown now you can go and win a game with the game on the line? Does that help?
Yeah, I think we need that. We need that as a team. We can't keep getting used to blowing guys out or winning by multiple scores, especially with playoff football coming up. We gotta have games like this. We gotta see how we respond when we get put in tough moments, and today we passed that test.
You talk about resiliency.
Dak Prescott now with 18 career game-winning drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. It wasn't necessarily a game where you anticipated needing a fourth quarter comeback. However, they did get the job done. And that's a credit to the offense of knowing when to turn it on. But this was one of those games, Nate, where at least throughout the second half, you just waited for Dallas to take charge. and it finally happened with 41 seconds left. What does that say about this football team?
I said that Dak still has a handle on it. He made all the perfect reads going down the stretch, and it's good to know in that situation that your quarterback can still come up big like that. But like Zeke said, it's going to be games like this right here where you think you can just roll over people, and it don't happen that way. Them people from down south came up here to play ball today, and they made the proper plays at the right time and took us to the wire.
What do you think about the Texans' defense, like you said, playing some of the best ball they've played all year?
They were hitting. And you saw it a lot of times. We lost a few guys in this game because they were punishing people. They were pushing people over the pile. They were making things happen. And I think we lost Big Steele up in there because he was rough and physical.
Yeah, that's another conversation. Multiple injuries. We'll hit that later on in the show because it wasn't a trap game. It didn't end up being a trap game. Almost did. But it was really an injury game. The Cowboys coming out of this one really banged up. When we come back, though, we hear from Micah Parsons. The Cowboys defense held without a sack for the first time this year. What went wrong on that side of the ball? But they helped win it late when we come back after this.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
It wasn't the best day defensively for the Cowboys pass rush. Micah Parsons and company held without a sack as a unit for the first time this season. However, the Cowboys did get the job done, and they did so off of a goal line stand in the fourth quarter. Here's what Micah Parsons had to say following the win.
It's very frustrating. Obviously not a clean win, not how we wanted to come out and perform, but to get our 10th win of the season, and that's big, and it's super exciting for the team.
What do you think led to all week about don't eat the cheese? Do you feel like you guys kind of maybe came sleepwalking into this one a little bit early on?
I wouldn't say we came in sleepwalking. I just think that they made some really big plays with the fumbles and interceptions. I mean, they came in like it was their Super Bowl, and they gave us their best shot, and I'm just glad we was able to fight through the adversity.
You guys have multiple sacks every game.
I mean, everything was run, screen. I mean, if it was pass, it was quick. I mean, it's a tough way to play.
What can you take away from the frustration all game, being able to see the team rally and come back and obviously win?
Anytime you fight through adversity and you overcome down in the last 2 minutes, obviously it brings camaraderie and a team together, and it brings humility too, that anything can happen in this league and at any time.
What do you think about some of the guys stepping in on defense, Kelvin Joseph, who has dealt with some other injuries, just how that came together?
That's crucial. They putting valuable minutes together and made big plays with the PBU on that third down. So obviously they're coming along well, and that's basically what this team is doing. People go down, people got to take up and stand up and make those type of plays.
Is it important to get a guy like Kelvin coming in this time of the season instead of like right before playoffs?
Yeah, let them get some game reps, let them keep practicing, getting better, learning the system, and keep developing so that way he becomes playoff ready.
It wasn't the relentless production that we're used to seeing from the Dallas defense, but when a big play was needed, they made the big play. What did you take away from how they played?
I like it. I mean, they held them up under 20. They held them up under 24 points. That's the league average. They stopped Dameon Pierce. They held them up under 80 yards. So they did what they had to do, and they made the play, the goal line stand, to get the Cowboys the ball so they can do what they needed to do. The defense is going to hold tight. This is still the strength of our team.
So at least from a bird's eye view, you look at the score and you say you gave up 23 points against the Houston Texans, one of the worst offenses in the NFL, but only 9 of those came without a turnover. I mean, there were 3 field goals. They didn't allow a touchdown unless Houston had the short field to work with. Does that change the way that you should maybe evaluate how this game was played by that unit?
No, because if we don't have the 3 turnovers, they don't have the short field, and they can't march 70, 80 yards on this defense. This defense is too good. And yeah, they didn't have a sack, but they made the big play when needed to be. And that's the sign of a defense that's continued to grow.
Got to continue to get better, and they've got a test next week as well because Trevor Lawrence and company at Jacksonville is going to be an interesting key for them. They put up 36 points today in a win as well. As we head into Week 15, it's a tough task for this Cowboys team to keep this 4-game winning streak going. When we come back, we hear from the front office. Jerry Jones spoke after the Cowboys' 27-23 win.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night was presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Reliant, an NRG company. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
A happy Cowboys crowd at AT&T Stadium, but a nervous one at that. 27-23 the final score as the Cowboys take down the Houston Texans and improve to 10-3 here in the 2022 NFL season. Back here wrapping things up on Cowboys Game Night with Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Youmans, and Nate, looking ahead, you can't avoid this, or can't have this again. You have to avoid this happening heading into Week 15 against a Jacksonville team that's very similar.
Just play a little sharper. Go lift your level. I mean, you have a higher level standard of playing. Just to play to your level, not to anybody else's level. And going into Jacksonville, it's a better team than what we just played. We're going to have to be sharp going into Jacksonville.
Got to be sharp heading into Jacksonville, but then right after that, that's the one that's circled on the schedule. The final home game of the 2022 regular season back here at AT&T Stadium against the Philadelphia Eagles on Christmas Eve. The Eagles won today. They're now at 12-1, still 2 games ahead of the Cowboys in that NFC East hunt, but the Cowboys firmly still in the hunt at the moment. Got to keep on winning if you're Mike McCarthy's bunch. For Nate Newton and our entire Cowboys crew, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long here from Cowboys Game Night. We'll see you next week.